Have you ever thought about how a star is born? This is a subject that moves at a naturally slow pace. It unfolds across long eons of time, shaped by gentle motion and quiet accumulation. Nothing about it asks to be rushed, just like tonight. If these kinds of explanations feel comfortable to return to, you're welcome to subscribe. It helps this channel continue creating slow, calm explanations like this one, and allows others to find their way here as well. Stars begin their lives far from anything that feels dramatic. They form in wide regions of space where movement is subtle and continuous. Places where gas and dust drift together, suspended in a shared environment that remains steady for very long periods. Most of what leads to a star happens quietly. There is no signal announcing a beginning, no moment that stands apart from the rest. For long spans of time, these regions remain almost unchanged. Material spreads thinly across space, forming loose patterns that persist through millions of years. Change happens through repetition rather than momentum. This pace is familiar to the universe. Processes settle into place gradually. Structure grows through consistency. Before a star has shape or brightness, there is patience. Time stretches wide enough that individual moments lose importance. What matters is the slow layering of small shifts. As matter drifts, it responds to steady forces that act without sound or urgency. Nothing needs direction. Nothing needs intention. Over time, regions within these clouds begin to feel slightly denser. Not enough to stand out at first, just enough to begin a quiet preference for gathering. This preference deepens gradually. Material moves closer together through subtle motion. Compression builds slowly, held in balance by the surrounding space. Throughout this process, the environment remains calm. There is no sudden warmth, no visible light. What eventually becomes a star spends most of its formation unseen, existing as motion without display, change without announcement. As we move through this explanation together, there's no need to follow every step closely. Understanding here comes from familiarity rather than precision. The ideas are meant to settle gently. If attention softens, that's part of the rhythm. If thoughts drift outward and return, that fits naturally. The process continues either way. Star formation has been unfolding throughout the universe for a very long time. It continues now, across countless regions of space. Quietly, patiently. This way of forming reflects a wider pattern. Small changes accumulating through time. Balance shifting until structure emerges. So there's nothing you need to do here. No effort to apply. No conclusion to wait for. Just stay comfortably with the idea that light begins slowly, in wide, quiet space. Star birth unfolds quietly because it begins without urgency. There is no sudden ignition, no sharp transition from dark to bright. What eventually becomes a star spends most of its formation in a state that feels almost unchanged. This quiet quality comes from the conditions where stars form. The environments involved are wide, dispersed, and patient. Energy builds slowly, spread across time rather than concentrated into moments. In these regions of space, nothing announces itself. There are no signals meant to be noticed. Most of the activity remains subtle enough to blend into the background. For a long time, star formation does not involve light at all. There is no glow to mark progress. no visible warmth to suggest movement. What exists instead is matter sharing space. Gas and dust moving gently within large regions. Motion happening at a pace that resists observation. This slowness shapes everything that follows. Processes that unfold this way do not create sudden outcomes. They rely on accumulation rather than intensity. Small changes repeating over long periods. Because of this, starbirth feels quiet even when it is underway. Nothing draws attention to itself. Nothing separates one moment from the next. Time stretches wide in these regions. Days and years lose their meaning. Change is measured in spans that feel abstract to human experience. Millions of years pass without visible difference. Material drifts, patterns hold. This kind of stillness allows balance to remain intact. For long stretches, forces acting on matter remain evenly distributed. No single influence becomes dominant right away. As a result, the early stages of star formation feel uneventful. They are defined by continuity rather than transition, by persistence rather than action. This is why starbirth does not feel like a beginning. It feels more like a gradual shift within an ongoing state, a slow adjustment rather than a clear start. The quiet also comes from scale. The regions involved are enormous. Movement that would feel significant on smaller scales becomes almost imperceptible when spread across such distances. In these environments, matter can move for long periods without creating noticeable change. Gas flows gently. Dust settles gradually. Nothing interrupts the calm. This quiet persistence allows star formation to proceed without resistance, without friction, without disturbance. There is no need for speed, no need for precision. The process advances simply by continuing. Because of this, starbirth does not require attention to succeed. It does not depend on observation. It unfolds whether it is noticed or not. Even when the process is well underway, most of it remains hidden. Light comes later. Warmth comes later. For a long time, the formation remains invisible. This invisibility is not a pause. It is the process itself, a stage defined by patience rather than display. As we move deeper into this explanation, this quiet quality will remain present. Each stage builds gently on the one before it. Nothing rushes forward. The calm that surrounds starbirth is not accidental. It reflects the way the universe prefers to change, slowly, steadily, and without interruption. This quiet foundation prepares the conditions for everything that follows. It allows matter to remain together long enough for structure to emerge. It gives time space to do its work. And it is from this steady stillness that the earliest stages of star formation begin to take shape. Space holds material even when it appears open and still. Across wide regions between stars, matter spreads thinly, occupying vast volumes without forming solid shapes. Gas extends outward in all directions. Dust drifts alongside it, suspended in slow motion. These materials fill space quietly. They do not gather attention. They exist as a background presence, shared across enormous distances. Hydrogen makes up most of this material. It remains light and widely distributed. Atoms move gently, responding to subtle forces that guide them over long spans of time. Alongside hydrogen, Traces of heavier elements travel through space as well. Carbon, oxygen, silicon. Particles left behind by earlier generations of stars. This mixture spreads through space like a faint atmosphere. Too thin to breathe. Too diffuse to feel. Yet across enough distance, even this light presence adds up. Between stars, space carries structure at scales that resist quick understanding. Clouds stretch for dozens, sometimes hundreds, of light years. Their boundaries remain soft and irregular. Within these regions, matter drifts without urgency. Motion unfolds slowly, shaped by gentle influences rather than sharp forces. Paths curve gradually. Dust particles move with the gas, tracing faint patterns over time. They absorb and scatter light, shaping how these regions appear from afar. Sometimes they create darker lanes. Sometimes they soften distant glows. This quiet abundance creates the setting for everything that follows. Without these materials, star formation would have no foundation. Gas provides mass. Dust contributes structure. Together, they create environments where change can take place slowly and steadily. These regions remain calm for long periods. Temperatures stay low. Energy spreads evenly. Movement continues without disruption. The scale of these clouds allows balance to persist. Forces act gently across wide areas. No single influence dominates right away. Within this environment, matter remains free to respond. Atoms drift closer together in some places. In others, they spread outward. These variations remain subtle. They develop gradually. They take time to become noticeable. Space holds more than distance. It carries the conditions required for transformation. It provides room for processes that unfold patiently. The quiet presence of gas and dust shapes the rhythm of star formation. Nothing needs to arrive suddenly. Nothing needs to organize itself quickly. Material remains available. Time remains open. This abundance allows stars to form without disruption. It supports gradual change. It gives processes space to repeat until structure begins to appear. Across the universe, these regions exist in many forms. Some remain diffuse and spread out. Others grow denser over time. Each carries the same fundamental ingredients. Each holds the same potential. The presence of matter in space ensures continuity. New stars emerge from material shaped by earlier stars. Elements cycle forward through time. This ongoing presence allows formation to feel seamless. No clear breaks, no abrupt transitions. As matter drifts through space, it carries history with it. Atoms that once existed inside stars travel onward. They mix with surrounding material. Over long periods, these mixtures settle into shared regions. Balance holds. Motion continues. Space remains full in this quiet way, filled with material waiting without anticipation, available without demand. This steady abundance creates the starting point for gravity to begin shaping change. It provides the substance that will respond when conditions shift. It allows gathering to occur gradually. As we move forward, this presence remains constant. Gas and dust continue to drift together. Time continues to stretch wide. And within this calm environment, subtle differences begin to matter. Small variations gain influence. Gentle preferences take shape. For now, space holds its materials evenly, quietly, patiently. The raw ingredients remain present, suspended across wide regions, ready to respond as gravity begins its slow work. Nebulae are wide regions of space where gas and dust gather loosely together. They stretch across distances that feel difficult to measure. Some span dozens of light years. Others extend far beyond that, blending softly into the surrounding space. Within these regions, material remains suspended rather than settled. Gas moves gently, guided by slow currents that unfold over long periods. Dust follows along, carried by the same gradual motion. Nebulae do not form sharp boundaries. Their edges fade rather than end. Density changes smoothly from one area to another. This softness allows them to remain stable for long spans of time. Nothing presses them into fixed shapes. Nothing pulls them apart quickly. Motion inside a nebula feels continuous. Atoms drift past one another. Particles trace wide, curving paths that take centuries to complete. Temperature remains low across most of these regions. Energy spreads evenly. Heat does not concentrate. Because of this, nebulae feel calm. They persist without interruption. They exist as extended environments rather than events. Gas within a nebula remains thinly distributed. Individual atoms travel great distances before encountering others. Collisions happen gently and infrequently. Dust adds texture to these clouds. Tiny particles absorb and scatter light. They create subtle variations that shape how nebulae appear from afar. Some regions glow softly as nearby stars illuminate the gas. Others remain dark, blocking light and forming silhouettes against brighter backgrounds. Both exist within the same drifting structures. Nebulae do not move with purpose. They respond to influences rather than intentions. Their motion reflects balance rather than direction. Over long periods, currents form within these clouds. Gas flows slowly along pressure gradients. Dust traces these movements, revealing faint structure. This drifting continues without urgency. Patterns develop gradually. Change arrives through repetition. Nebulae often contain material left behind by earlier stars. Elements forged deep within stellar interiors travel outward. They mix gently with surrounding gas. This mixing adds complexity to the cloud. Different elements coexist across wide regions. Distribution remains uneven yet stable. Time passes generously inside a nebula. Thousands of years blend together. Millions follow without sharp distinction. Throughout this time, the cloud remains intact. Material stays loosely connected. Balance persists. Nebulae provide space for processes to unfold slowly. They allow matter to remain available. They support gradual accumulation. Within these drifting clouds, slight variations begin to appear. Some regions hold marginally more material. Others remain more diffuse. These differences stay subtle for long periods. They develop quietly. They do not announce themselves. Because nebulae drift rather than rush, these variations have time to deepen. Material responds gently. Motion adjusts without disruption. This quality makes nebulae ideal environments for gradual change. They do not resist motion. They allow it to unfold naturally. Nebulae exist across galaxies. They appear in spiral arms between stars. and near-stellar remnants. Each carries its own history. Some are shaped by nearby light. Others remain shadowed. All drift in the same patient way. Their presence connects generations of stars. Material moves forward through time. Elements cycle gently. Nebulae do not hurry toward outcomes. They hold space. They sustain possibility. As gas and dust continue to drift together, balance remains the defining feature. Motion stays slow. Structure remains flexible. This drifting state prepares the cloud for what comes next. It allows small differences to grow influence. It gives gravity time to begin shaping motion. For now, the nebula remains calm. A wide cloud of material suspended in quiet motion, drifting steadily through space, holding matter loosely as time stretches onward. Within these drifting clouds, time settles into a steady rhythm. Nebulae remain in this state for immense spans. Years gather into centuries. Centuries stretch into millions. Across these durations, the overall scene holds its shape. Gas continues to drift. Dust continues to follow. Movement exists, yet it remains subtle enough to feel suspended. Atoms travel along wide paths. Particles trace slow arcs that take lifetimes to complete. This extended stillness allows balance to remain intact. Forces acting within the cloud distribute evenly across space. Energy spreads gently rather than concentrating. Temperatures remain low. Motion remains smooth. The environment maintains a quiet consistency. During this time, the cloud does not progress toward a visible outcome. It rests in a shared state where change unfolds slowly enough to feel continuous. Nothing separates one moment from the next. This quiet persistence is essential. It gives matter time to remain together. It allows interactions to repeat without interruption. It supports gradual shifts that require patience. Within this calm, material continues to circulate. Gas flows along faint pressure differences. Dust drifts alongside, responding to the same influences. These motions repeat again and again. Paths overlap. Patterns reinforce themselves. Over long periods, this repetition begins to matter. Regions that hold slightly more material experience gentle reinforcement. Atoms pass through these areas more often. Density increases by small amounts. These changes remain modest. They develop across extended spans rather than moments. Their presence grows through consistency. Stillness supports this process. Without disruption, small differences persist. They have time to deepen. The cloud remains unhurried. No external influence demands acceleration. No internal shift breaks the balance suddenly. Instead, the environment favors continuity. Each cycle of motion adds a subtle layer. Each pass reinforces existing structure. This stage defines the earliest foundation of star formation. It does not resemble action. It resembles waiting. Yet this waiting is active in its own way. Matter continues to move. Forces continue to act. Time continues to accumulate. Nothing is paused. Everything proceeds at a pace that feels calm. Across millions of years, this steadiness shapes the cloud's future. It allows regions of slightly higher density to remain intact. It gives gravity time to register these differences. The absence of disturbance preserves fragile patterns. Gentle flows remain uninterrupted. subtle imbalances endure. This environment rewards patience. It allows complexity to arise gradually. It supports transformation through accumulation. From a distance, the cloud appears unchanged. From within, motion continues endlessly. Change builds without display. Stillness here is a condition rather than a lack of activity. It reflects a pace that favors endurance. It creates space for long processes to unfold naturally. As time passes, the cloud retains its calm character. Gas and dust remain loosely connected. Energy remains evenly distributed. This sustained balance prepares the conditions for the next shift. It allows gravity to begin influencing motion more clearly. It sets the stage for gathering to emerge. For now, the cloud remains in this extended state. Quiet, persistent. Stillness stretches across time, holding material together without pressure. Motion continues gently, cycle after cycle. The environment remains receptive, open, and patient. This long pause carries purpose. It allows small variations to matter. It gives change the time it requires. And within this steady calm, the earliest foundations of transformation settle into place, ready for the next phase to unfold. Within these calm regions, gravity remains present at all times. It acts quietly, woven into the fabric of space itself. Its influence does not arrive suddenly. It remains steady, consistent, and patient. Gravity expresses itself through relationship. Every particle carries mass. Every mass participates in a shared pool. Across wide clouds of gas and dust, this pool spreads evenly. Its strength feels subtle because distance dilutes its effect. Yet across enough space, its presence becomes meaningful. Gravity works through accumulation. Each particle contributes a small influence. Together, these influences add up. This addition unfolds gradually. It relies on time rather than intensity. It deepens through persistence. Within a nebula, gravity does not single out a starting point. It acts everywhere at once. Its influence remains distributed across the entire region. Gas responds gently. Atoms drift along shallow curves. Motion adjusts without disruption. Dust follows the same pattern. Particles shift position slightly. Paths bend over long spans. Gravity's pull remains balanced by other influences. Thermal motion spreads material outward. Pressure supports distribution. This balance allows the cloud to remain extended. Nothing compresses rapidly. Nothing disperses abruptly. Instead, gravity waits within the system. It registers small differences. It responds to subtle variations in density. As time passes, these variations begin to matter. Areas with marginally more material feel a slightly stronger pull. This difference remains faint at first. Over repeated cycles of motion, gravity reinforces these regions. Material passes through them more often. Presence increases through repetition. This reinforcement feels gradual. No sharp transition marks its progress. Change unfolds through continuity. Gravity does not demand speed. It allows processes to settle naturally. Its influence grows through duration. Within these clouds, gravity behaves like a background tendency. Always present, always participating. It shapes motion by preference rather than command. Material responds without resistance. Paths adjust incrementally. Over long periods, this gentle pull begins to guide gathering. Atoms linger slightly longer in certain regions. Density increases by small degrees. These changes remain calm. They fit seamlessly into the existing motion. Nothing disrupts the environment. Gravity remains patient because time remains abundant. Millions of years stretch ahead. There is room for slow work. This patience allows complexity to emerge without force. Structure grows from repetition. Balance shifts gradually. Within this setting, gravity's role feels supportive. It encourages cohesion without pressure. It favors gathering without urgency. The cloud continues to drift while this influence deepens. Motion remains smooth. Energy remains evenly distributed. From a distance, the region still appears unchanged. From within, subtle alignment begins to form. Paths curve more consistently. Gravity's presence becomes clearer through these patterns. Material responds gently. Flow begins to favor certain directions. This stage does not resemble collapse. It resembles inclination, a quiet leaning toward togetherness. The environment remains calm throughout. No heat builds yet. No light appears. Gravity continues its steady work beneath the surface of motion. Its influence accumulates quietly. Its effects grow through time. This gentle pull prepares the cloud for the next phase. It establishes preference. It allows small differences to grow influence. As gravity continues to act, the cloud remains receptive. Material stays mobile. Balance adjusts slowly. Nothing needs to happen quickly here. Time continues to offer space. Gravity continues to respond. This steady interaction marks a subtle shift. Gathering becomes slightly favored. Structure begins to feel possible. And within this patient pull, the conditions for the next stage quietly take shape, guided by gravity's calm and enduring presence. Within these wide clouds, small variations begin to stand out through repetition. Material does not distribute itself perfectly evenly. Some regions hold slightly more gas. Some carry a little more dust. These differences remain subtle at first. They blend into the surrounding motion. They take time to register. Across long spans, matter continues to drift through the cloud. Atoms follow broad paths. Particles circulate gently. As this motion repeats, regions with slightly higher density experience more traffic. Material passes through them more often. Presence builds gradually. This buildup happens through familiarity. Paths overlap. Flows return. Each pass adds a small contribution. Each cycle reinforces what already exists. Change develops through consistency. The cloud remains calm while this occurs. Energy stays evenly distributed. Motion remains smooth. Nothing interrupts the process. The environment continues to support slow adjustment. Time remains abundant. As density increases by small degrees, gravity responds. Its influence strengthens subtly where more mass gathers. This response deepens through repetition. Material begins to linger. Atoms spend slightly more time in these regions. Drift takes on a faint preference. This preference does not arrive sharply. It develops through repeated motion. It grows through duration. Within these areas, paths curve gently inward. Movement feels guided rather than directed. Alignment begins to form. The surrounding cloud continues to drift as before. Balance remains intact. Energy continues to spread. These denser regions remain part of the larger environment. They do not separate themselves. They simply gain presence. Over extended periods, the contrast increases. Differences that once felt insignificant gain clarity. Patterns begin to feel established. This stage defines a quiet transition. The cloud still appears diffuse, yet subtle structure now exists within it. Material responds naturally to these conditions. Motion adjusts without disruption. Flows favor regions of slightly higher density. These changes remain gentle. They do not demand acceleration. They unfold through continuation. Time supports this development. Each cycle reinforces the last. Each pass deepens the pattern. Within these regions, interaction increases. Atoms encounter one another more frequently. Dust traces more consistent paths. Temperature remains low. Energy remains evenly spread. The environment stays calm. The cloud accommodates these changes without resistance. Its size allows balance to persist. Its structure remains flexible. As density differences grow clearer, gravity's influence becomes easier to trace. Material responds through inclination rather than force. Movement aligns gradually. This alignment does not require coordination. It emerges through repetition. It reflects shared motion. Over millions of years, these regions develop identity. They hold shape more consistently. They maintain presence within the larger cloud. This identity remains subtle. Edges stay soft. Boundaries remain open. The cloud continues to support motion across all scales. Diffuse regions drift as before. Denser regions gather slightly more material. These differences coexist. Balance holds. Change proceeds gently. This stage prepares the cloud for deeper gathering. It establishes contrast without disruption. It allows structure to emerge through patience. Small differences now carry influence. Repetition has given them weight. Time has allowed them to matter. Within this calm progression, gathering becomes increasingly favored. Motion continues to adjust. Alignment deepens. The environment remains steady as this happens. Energy spreads. Temperature holds. Nothing accelerates suddenly. Everything remains connected. Change continues to unfold through quiet accumulation. These subtle distinctions mark an important moment. They signal readiness rather than arrival. They prepare the cloud for the next shift. As density differences persist and grow clearer, the conditions for deeper transformation settle into place, supported by time, repetition, and gentle motion. As density differences continue to deepen, motion begins to change character. Material no longer drifts with complete neutrality. Paths begin to curve inward more consistently. Movement develops a shared direction. This stage is often described as collapse, though the motion remains gentle. Nothing drops suddenly. Nothing accelerates sharply. Instead, material begins to drift inward together. Gas responds to the growing influence of gravity. Atoms adjust their paths gradually. Trajectories bend over long spans. Dust follows along, tracing these subtle shifts. Particles move closer together without disruption. The environment remains calm. This inward drift unfolds slowly. Compression builds through continuation rather than force. Each moment resembles the one before it. The cloud remains large. Its boundaries stay soft. Balance still holds across wide regions. What changes is emphasis. Gravity's influence becomes more concentrated, where density has increased. Material responds by lingering longer. Flow favors gathering. This gathering does not resemble falling. It feels more like settling, a gradual leaning toward togetherness. As inward motion continues, particles encounter one another more frequently. Distance between atoms decreases by small amounts. Presence becomes shared. Despite this compression, conditions remain cool. Energy spreads evenly. Heat does not accumulate yet. The cloud absorbs these changes without resistance. Its size allows motion to adjust smoothly. No shock forms. Throughout this stage, light remains absent. No glow marks progress. No brightness announces change. The environment stays dark in this quiet way. Transformation unfolds beneath the surface of visibility. Change continues without display. Compression develops layer by layer. Each cycle of motion adds another subtle adjustment. Density increases through repetition. This repetition is supported by time. Thousands of years pass. Then hundreds of thousands. The cloud responds steadily. Motion aligns more clearly. Structure begins to feel cohesive. Still, no single moment defines this stage. There is no clear boundary between drifting and gathering. One blends smoothly into the other. The cloud remains patient as this occurs. Energy remains distributed. Temperature remains low. Pressure begins to increase gently within denser regions. Atoms occupy space more closely. Interaction becomes more frequent. This pressure does not feel intense. It builds quietly. It remains contained. The inward drift continues without interruption. Material flows steadily. Paths curve inward over long arcs. This motion feels inevitable rather than urgent. The cloud responds naturally to its own conditions. Nothing forces the change. Throughout this process, the environment retains its calm character. There is no ignition, no sudden release of energy. Everything proceeds through balance. Gravity guides motion. Pressure responds gradually. The cloud transitions from diffuse gathering to deeper cohesion. Structure becomes more defined, yet edges remain soft. This stage represents preparation rather than arrival. The cloud organizes itself quietly. Conditions continue to mature. The absence of light remains important. Brightness would signal a different phase. For now, formation continues unseen. Compression deepens slowly. Density increases. Alignment strengthens. All of this happens within a steady rhythm. No acceleration disrupts the flow. No moment demands attention. The beginning of collapse is defined by patience. It unfolds without spectacle. It proceeds without urgency. And within this gentle inward drift, the foundations for the next phase quietly settle into place. As compression continues and time stretches on, holding the process together in calm, unseen motion. As inward gathering continues, a new structure begins to take shape within the cloud. This structure forms gradually at the center of the denser region. Material arrives from many directions. Motion converges without interruption. Over time, this central region becomes more cohesive. Gas accumulates. Dust follows along. The result is what astronomers call a protostar. A protostar is a stage of formation rather than a finished object. It represents concentration rather than completion. It reflects gathering that has become sustained. At this point, material has organized itself enough to hold together. Gravity keeps the region cohesive. Pressure responds by supporting balance. The protostar occupies a relatively small volume compared to the original cloud, yet it remains embedded within the surrounding gas and dust. Its environment continues to participate in the process. Matter continues to flow inward. Paths curve toward the center. Material arrives steadily rather than suddenly. This inward motion increases density at the core. Atoms move closer together. Interaction becomes more frequent. As density rises, internal pressure grows. Particles occupy space more tightly. Motion adjusts to accommodate the change. This pressure produces warmth. Compression transfers energy inward. Temperature increases gradually. The warmth remains contained within the structure. Energy spreads through the dense region. No visible light escapes yet. The protostar remains surrounded by thick material. Gas and dust absorb and scatter energy. Brightness stays hidden. At this stage, the object does not shine as a star. Its energy comes from motion rather than fusion. Its warmth reflects compression rather than light. The protostar continues to grow as material arrives. Accretion proceeds steadily. Mass increases through repetition. This growth feels calm. There is no sudden jump in size. No moment marks completion. The surrounding cloud still plays an active role. It feeds the central region. It shapes the flow of material. Rotation often develops during this stage. Inward motion carries angular momentum. Material begins to orbit gently as it gathers. This rotation spreads material into a flattened shape around the center. A disk forms gradually. Structure remains flexible. The protostar sits within this rotating environment. Motion continues around it. Balance evolves slowly. Time stretches wide during this phase. Hundreds of thousands of years pass, then more. Throughout this duration, the protostar remains in transition. Its properties continue to change. Its internal conditions deepen. Pressure increases as mass accumulates. Temperature rises steadily. The core grows warmer over time. Yet even as warmth builds, the process remains quiet. No burst of light appears. No dramatic shift announces progress. The protostar exists as a gathering point, a region where motion converges, a structure shaped by patience. Energy circulates within it. Compression continues to add warmth. Balance adjusts continuously. This stage represents preparation. Conditions move closer toward a new threshold. Change develops through continuation. The protostar remains surrounded by the remnants of the original cloud. Material continues to drift inward. The environment stays engaged. Nothing separates this stage sharply from the one before. Formation proceeds smoothly. Each phase blends into the next. As mass increases, internal pressure grows more significant. Particles press closer together. Interaction intensifies gradually. The structure becomes more defined. Its center grows denser. Its influence extends outward. Still, the process remains hidden. Light has not yet emerged. Brightness remains absent. The protostar continues to gather quietly. It holds material steadily. It deepens its internal conditions. This phase carries the formation forward without display. It builds the foundation for what comes next. It allows compression to continue its work. Within this dense, warming structure, time continues to pass generously. Motion repeats, pressure grows, and as the protostar persists in this steady state, conditions continue to mature, preparing the way for the next transformation, where pressure deepens further and energy begins to take on a new role within the forming star. While the protostar continues to gather material, conditions at its center grow steadily more intense. Matter arrives layer by layer. Gas settles inward. Density increases through continuation. This inward gathering produces pressure. Pressure develops as particles occupy space more closely. Atoms move within smaller volumes. Interaction becomes more frequent. This change happens gradually. No single moment marks a shift. Compression deepens through repetition. As pressure builds, temperature rises within the core. Energy transfers through motion. Particles move faster as space tightens. This warming comes from compression itself. Motion converts into heat. The process remains contained. The protostar does not burn during this stage. There is no internal reaction producing light. The warmth remains internal and quiet. Energy spreads through the dense core. Heat circulates outward slowly. Surrounding material absorbs much of it. The thick envelope of gas and dust continues to surround the protostar. This material limits how energy escapes. Brightness remains hidden. From the outside, the region still appears dark. No visible glow marks the increase in temperature. Change continues unseen. Pressure continues to rise as mass accumulates. Each inward flow adds weight. Each addition deepens compression. The protostar responds by adjusting its internal balance. Pressure resists further contraction. Gravity continues to draw material inward. This interaction settles into a steady exchange. Motion continues. Balance shifts slowly. Temperature rises through this exchange. Not abruptly, not dramatically. Heat builds through accumulation. Each moment contributes a small increase. Together, these increases add up. The core grows warmer over long spans. Hundreds of thousands of years pass, then more. Throughout this time, the protostar remains quiet. Energy builds without display. Light remains absent. This stage often lasts longer than expected. The pace remains gentle. Progress unfolds through endurance. Pressure shapes the structure internally. It influences how matter arranges itself. It guides motion toward equilibrium. The protostar grows more stable as pressure increases. Internal motion becomes more organized. Conditions deepen steadily. Despite the growing warmth, the object does not yet shine. Energy remains trapped within the dense environment. Brightness waits, This delay is essential. Pressure needs time to prepare the core. Temperature must rise gradually. Conditions must mature evenly. The universe favors this patience. Processes settle through balance rather than force. Change unfolds without spectacle. As pressure builds, the core approaches a critical range of conditions. Density increases. Temperature climbs. These changes remain smooth. No jump marks their progress. Everything continues through continuity. The surrounding material still participates in the process. Gas flows inward gently. Dust traces the motion. Rotation continues around the protostar. Material orbits softly. Balance holds. The system remains calm. No shock waves form. No rapid release of energy occurs. This stage focuses entirely on preparation. Pressure reshapes the internal environment. Heat accumulates quietly. Nothing signals arrival yet. The protostar remains in transition. Its future continues to take shape internally. Time continues to stretch wide. Motion repeats. Energy deepens. This long build-up reflects the universe's preference for gradual change. It allows stability to form. It avoids disruption. Pressure before light defines this phase. Compression prepares the core. Warmth grows without display. As this process continues, the protostar moves closer to a subtle threshold. Conditions align quietly. The core becomes ready. And within this steady rise of pressure and heat, the foundation is set for the next phase, where energy begins to change its role and a new balance slowly comes into reach. Still without urgency, still without drama. The stage of formation we've reached unfolds across spans of time that stretch beyond familiar reference points. The changes happening within a protostar develop gradually. They rely on duration rather than speed. Progress expresses itself through persistence. Human experience tends to organize time into short segments. Days, years, lifetimes. Star formation follows a different rhythm. Hundreds of thousands of years pass while internal conditions continue to mature. Temperature rises gently. Pressure deepens through steady accumulation. Then more time follows. Millions of years provide room for balance to adjust. Each cycle of motion adds subtle refinement. Each repetition reinforces stability. Within this scale, individual moments lose distinction. Change blends smoothly across long spans. Progress feels continuous rather than segmented. This length of time supports patience within the process. It allows conditions to align gradually. It gives structure space to settle. Inside the forming star, particles continue to interact. Motion remains active. Energy circulates steadily. Each interaction contributes a small adjustment. Each adjustment builds upon the last. Together, they shape the environment. The surrounding cloud continues to participate. Material arrives slowly. Flow remains consistent. These extended durations allow pressure and temperature to increase evenly. The core develops without disruption. Balance becomes more refined. From a distance, little appears to change. From within, motion continues constantly. Transformation proceeds quietly. Time acts as a stabilizing influence here. It spreads change across long intervals. It prevents abrupt shifts. This extended pacing reflects how the universe handles complexity. Large outcomes emerge through endurance. Stability grows through repetition. The forming star responds naturally to this rhythm. Internal conditions adjust gradually. Structure deepens without strain. During these long spans, nothing rushes forward. Motion remains measured. Energy remains contained. The process benefits from this steady progression. It allows pressure to shape the core effectively. It supports gradual warming. Each phase blends seamlessly into the next. There are no sharp divisions. Transitions feel smooth. The idea of waiting applies differently here. Time passes without pause. Change continues throughout. This stage holds importance precisely because it takes so long. It ensures readiness. It allows balance to establish itself fully. The universe does not treat duration as an obstacle. It treats time as a resource. Processes unfold comfortably within it. As millions of years pass, internal motion becomes more organized. Energy circulates efficiently. Conditions approach a stable range. The forming star remains embedded within its environment. Material continues to arrive. Flow persists. This extended timescale allows alignment to develop without force. Pressure and gravity settle into cooperation. Temperature rises into a supportive range. Nothing about this stage demands urgency. Everything moves at a pace that supports coherence. Transformation feels inevitable through continuity. These durations challenge familiar intuition. They stretch beyond everyday measurement, yet they remain central to formation. Understanding this scale helps the process feel calm. There is space for adjustment. There is room for balance. Within these long spans, the forming star continues to evolve quietly. Motion repeats. Energy deepens. The system remains steady throughout. No sudden change interrupts the flow. Progress continues through consistency. Time carries the formation forward. It allows conditions to mature. It supports the transition toward the next threshold. As this phase continues, the core approaches a point of readiness. Pressure and temperature align gradually. Balance strengthens. And within these expansive stretches of time, the universe completes its preparation patiently, allowing the forming star to settle into conditions where a subtle transformation can eventually take place, guided by duration, steadiness, and quiet continuity. As pressure and temperature continue to rise within the core, conditions approach a subtle threshold. Nothing marks this moment outwardly. There is no signal, no visible change from the surrounding space. Inside the dense center, particles move more quickly. Hydrogen atoms interact more frequently. Motion becomes more energetic through compression. Over long spans, temperature reaches a range where interactions change character. Collisions grow more effective. Proximity allows new behavior to emerge. At this point, fusion begins. Fusion occurs when hydrogen atoms combine. Their cores move close enough to interact directly. Energy is released through this union. This transition does not arrive as an event. It unfolds quietly within the core. It blends smoothly into the ongoing process. Only a small portion of hydrogen participates at first. Reactions occur sporadically. Energy release remains modest. The core absorbs this energy. Heat distributes evenly. balance adjusts gently. Fusion does not overwhelm the environment. It integrates into the existing motion. Pressure responds gradually. As fusion continues, the energy produced supports the core against gravity. Outward pressure increases slightly. Inward motion slows. This interaction establishes a new balance. Gravity continues to pull inward. Energy release pushes outward. The system settles into cooperation rather than conflict. Forces align through equilibrium. Motion stabilizes. Fusion grows steadily as conditions support it. More hydrogen participates. Energy output increases incrementally. Still, nothing dramatic appears from the outside. Light remains contained. Brightness does not surge. The surrounding layers of gas and dust continue to absorb and scatter energy. Radiation takes time to move outward. Release remains gradual. Fusion feels less like ignition and more like transition. It represents continuity rather than rupture, a shift in how energy flows. Within the core, this new process becomes self-sustaining. Temperature remains stable within a supportive range. Pressure balances gravitational pull. This balance defines the next stage of the forming star. Energy generation becomes internal rather than mechanical. Support comes from reaction rather than compression. The system remains calm as this adjustment takes place. Motion settles into regular patterns. Conditions stabilize. Time continues to stretch generously. Fusion strengthens gradually. Energy output increases without haste. Hydrogen atoms continue to combine. Helium accumulates slowly. Structure deepens internally. The star does not announce this change. From a distance, nothing marks the moment. The process remains hidden. This quiet threshold reflects the universe's preference for gradual change. New behavior emerges without disruption. Balance forms through alignment. Fusion does not replace earlier processes abruptly. Compression and motion continue to play roles. They integrate with the new source of energy. The forming star transitions into a new state of support. Its core now produces energy directly. Its structure adjusts to this shift. Throughout this stage, stability increases. Forces remain balanced. Motion remains smooth. No burst accompanies this transition. No flash signals arrival. The change completes itself quietly. This moment carries significance through consequence rather than spectacle. Energy generation becomes sustained. Structure gains endurance. The forming star now holds a steady source of internal support. Pressure and gravity coexist in balance. Motion settles. This quiet beginning of fusion prepares the star for a long period of stability. It establishes conditions that can persist for vast spans of time. It allows structure to endure. And within this calm transition, the star completes its shift from gathering matter to generating energy, entering a stable phase guided by balance, patience, and the quiet continuity of fusion. As fusion continues within the core, energy begins a slow outward journey. This energy does not travel directly. It moves through dense layers of material. Its progress unfolds gradually. Inside the forming star, energy transfers from particle to particle. Photons interact repeatedly. Each interaction redirects motion slightly. This process takes time. The layers surrounding the core remain thick and active. Gas absorbs energy. Motion redistributes it evenly. Because of this, light does not appear all at once. Brightness develops through accumulation. Visibility grows through patience. At first, the forming star remains hidden within its surroundings. Energy circulates internally. The outer layers continue to scatter and absorb. Over long periods, material around the star thins. Inward flow slows. The surrounding cloud disperses gradually. As this happens, energy finds clearer paths outward. Radiation moves more freely. Release becomes steadier. Light begins to emerge. This emergence does not resemble a switch being turned on. There is no instant where darkness becomes brightness. Illumination increases softly. The star's surface warms evenly. Energy reaches outer layers consistently. Brightness grows through balance. At this stage, the star may appear faint. Its glow remains gentle. Its presence subtle. Over time, this glow strengthens. Not through sudden increase, through steady refinement. Each moment adds a small contribution. Each cycle reinforces the last. Light builds through continuation. The surrounding environment adjusts in response. Remaining gas drifts outward. Dust disperses slowly. As these layers thin, visibility improves. More light escapes. Brightness becomes clearer. Still, the process remains calm. The star does not flare. It does not surge. It settles into visibility. Energy now travels from the core to the surface more efficiently. Internal pathways stabilize. Radiation flows consistently. The light we associate with a star reflects this stability. It represents balance rather than excess, a steady output rather than a release. The star's appearance grows more defined. Its edges become clearer, its glow steadier. This clarity develops over long spans. Thousands of years pass, then more. Throughout this time, brightness continues to increase incrementally. No moment demands attention. No boundary marks completion. The star becomes visible because its internal processes have stabilized. Energy production remains steady. Outward flow balances inward pull. Light reflects this balance. It carries information about the star's internal state. It signals equilibrium rather than activity. It marks persistence. As the star continues to shine, its output remains consistent. Fluctuations remain small. Variation stays contained. This consistency allows the star to be recognized as a stable presence. Not because it announces itself, because it remains. Light spreads outward into space. It travels across vast distances. It continues long after leaving its source. Yet its origin remains calm. The star does not expend itself in producing light. Energy generation supports structure. Brightness reflects sustainability. This gradual appearance of light completes a long transition. Formation gives way to stability. Gathering gives way to balance. The star now occupies a new role. It contributes energy outward. It maintains structure inward. Still, the change arrives quietly. Brightness increases without drama. Visibility improves without spectacle. The universe adjusts smoothly. light becomes part of the ongoing environment. It joins countless others. It blends into the larger pattern. This stage reflects the universe's preference for continuity. New states emerge through alignment. Visibility follows balance. The star's glow remains steady as conditions hold. Energy flows evenly. Structure persists. There is no moment of arrival to observe. Light appearing because balance allows it. And as the star continues to shine softly, its brightness marks not a beginning, but a steady state reached through patience, balance, and the quiet unfolding of time. With steady light now reaching outward, the forming star settles into balance. Gravity continues to draw material inward. Energy produced within the core supports outward pressure. These influences meet and hold. This balance defines stability. The star maintains its structure through cooperation between forces. Inward pull provides cohesion. Outward energy flow provides support. Neither side dominates. Each adjusts in response to the other. Equilibrium forms through alignment. Inside the core, fusion proceeds at a steady pace. Hydrogen continues to combine. Energy release remains consistent. This energy travels outward through layered pathways. Interactions guide its movement. Transfer remains smooth. At the surface, energy emerges as light. Brightness reflects internal balance. Output remains steady over time. The star holds its size through this exchange. Compression no longer deepens. Expansion no longer increases. Structure persists. Temperature within the core stabilizes within a supportive range. Pressure adjusts gently. Motion remains organized. These conditions allow the star to endure. It sustains itself without strain. Change slows into consistency. Time continues to pass generously. Years gather into centuries. Centuries blend into millions. Throughout these spans, the star remains present. Its light continues outward. Its structure holds inward. This state represents a long period in a star's life. Energy production remains even. Balance remains intact. The surrounding environment responds accordingly. Remaining gas disperses gradually. The star occupies its region with clarity. Orbits establish themselves nearby. Material moves predictably. Patterns settle. The star's stability influences its surroundings quietly. Light warms nearby space. Energy shapes gentle gradients. Within the star, processes continue without interruption. Fusion supports pressure. Pressure counters gravity. This exchange remains dynamic, yet steady. Small adjustments occur continuously. Overall balance persists. The star does not require attention to maintain itself. Its processes regulate naturally. Stability remains self-sustaining. Brightness reflects endurance rather than intensity. Output remains measured. Variation stays minimal. This calm persistence defines the star's presence. It exists as a steady source. It contributes consistently. Across the universe, countless stars occupy this state. Each holds balance in its own way. Each maintains structure through the same principles. The star's stability allows it to remain for long durations. It supports surrounding systems. It provides continuity. Time continues to flow without disruption. Light travels outward continuously. Structure remains supported. This stage carries no announcement. It unfolds as a settling rather than an arrival. Balance completes itself quietly. Within this equilibrium, the star becomes part of the universe's steady background. Its light joins countless others. Its presence blends into the larger pattern. Energy production and structural support remain aligned. Forces continue to cooperate. Stability persists. This state allows the star to endure across vast spans. It supports the slow rhythms of the cosmos. It participates in ongoing cycles. As equilibrium holds, the star's role becomes clear. It serves as a stable point of energy. It maintains its form through balance. The processes that brought the star into being continue to support it. Nothing changes abruptly. Everything proceeds steadily. This calm equilibrium reflects the universe's broader rhythm. Structure forms through patience. Stability emerges through alignment. And within this balanced state, the star continues onward, holding its shape, sustaining its light, and remaining present through time, supported by the quiet cooperation of gravity and energy. Star formation continues across the universe without pause. It did not belong to a distant era. It did not complete itself long ago. It remains active now. Across galaxies, wide regions of gas and dust continue to drift. Material remains available. Time remains open. Within these environments, the same quiet processes unfold. Gathering develops gradually. Balance adjusts patiently. New stars emerge through the same steady progression. Stillness gives way to subtle gathering. Compression deepens through repetition. This activity does not concentrate in a single place. It spreads across spiral arms, dense clouds, and distant regions. Formation occurs wherever conditions allow. Some regions host many forming stars at once. Others support only a few. Each follows the same underlying rhythm. Star formation continues because the universe retains its materials. Gas cycles forward through time. Elements remain in motion. Earlier generations of stars contributed to this continuity. They shaped the distribution of matter. They enriched surrounding regions with additional material. As a result, new stars emerge from environments shaped by older ones. History carries forward through structure. Formation builds upon itself. This ongoing process unfolds quietly. No announcement marks new beginnings. Change continues through persistence. From a distance, galaxies appear stable. Within them, motion remains active. Formation proceeds steadily. Regions of starbirth often remain hidden. Dense clouds obscure internal activity. Light emerges later. Even so, formation continues uninterrupted. Processes repeat. Time accumulates. This continuity reflects a broader pattern. The universe favors renewal through gradual change. Creation proceeds through endurance. Stars form at different rates depending on their environment. Some regions support rapid development. Others unfold more slowly. Yet, across all cases, the underlying process remains consistent. Material gathers, balance forms. The presence of ongoing star formation shapes galaxies over time. New stars contribute energy outward. Structure evolves gently. This activity does not require coordination. Each region responds to local conditions. Formation remains distributed. Throughout the universe, countless stars remain in various stages of development. Some are just beginning to gather. Others are approaching stability. Many exist between these states. Transition remains continuous. Progress blends smoothly. This ongoing formation ensures that the universe remains dynamic. Change continues without disruption. Growth unfolds naturally. Time supports this activity generously. Millions of years allow processes to mature. Billions extend the cycle. The persistence of star birth reflects the availability of space and material. Conditions remain supportive. Balance remains achievable. As long as gas and dust continue to drift together, formation proceeds. As long as gravity continues to act, gathering develops. The cycle remains open. This activity does not depend on attention. It continues whether observed or not. Formation unfolds independently. The universe does not move toward completion. It maintains ongoing processes. Creation remains part of its rhythm. Across vast distances, new stars continue to take shape. Quietly, patiently, their formation contributes to the larger structure of the cosmos. Light spreads outward. Balance deepens. This steady renewal shapes the universe's character. It supports continuity. It allows transformation without interruption. As we consider this ongoing activity, the process feels less like an event and more like a condition. Star birth remains present. It continues as part of the universe's steady background. And within this enduring rhythm, stars keep forming across space, supported by time, material, and balance, extending the cycle forward without urgency, without announcement, and without pause. Across the universe, stars form as part of a common pattern rather than an exception. They do not require unusual conditions. They emerge wherever material and time remain available. Their formation reflects regular behavior rather than rarity. Galaxies contain vast reserves of gas and dust. These materials spread across spiral arms, clusters, and extended regions. They remain in motion continuously. Within these environments, star formation proceeds naturally. Gathering develops through repetition. Balance forms through patience. Because galaxies hold so much material, many stars can form at once. Regions support clusters of developing stars. Formation occurs in parallel rather than isolation. Billions of stars exist within a single galaxy. Each arrived through the same gradual process. Each followed similar stages. This abundance makes star birth a familiar outcome. It reflects the availability of matter. It reflects the generosity of time. Across billions of galaxies, this pattern repeats. Star formation unfolds everywhere conditions allow. The universe supports creation at scale. These numbers challenge intuition. Human experience favors singular events. The universe favors repetition. Stars form in groups, pairs, and clusters. Some develop alone. Others share their early environment. Each path remains valid. Each reflects local conditions. Formation adapts to context. The commonness of starburst shapes the universe's appearance. Galaxies glow because countless stars shine together. Light accumulates through number rather than intensity. This abundance does not diminish significance. It defines it. Meaning emerges through continuity. Stars serve as building blocks within galaxies. Their combined presence shapes structure. Their collective light defines form. The universe does not conserve stars as limited resources. It allows them to form freely. Material cycles forward. Older stars contribute to new formation. They release material over time. Elements return to the surrounding environment. This cycle supports ongoing abundance. Matter remains available. Creation continues. Star formation does not compete for attention. It unfolds quietly across wide regions. No single birth needs to stand out. The universe accommodates this repetition easily. Space remains open. Time remains generous. Because stars are common, their presence feels stable. They provide consistency across epochs. They anchor structure. This stability allows galaxies to evolve gently. New stars join existing ones. Balance adjusts gradually. From one region to another, formation rates vary. Some galaxies produce stars rapidly. Others progress slowly. Even so, star birth remains part of the universal pattern. It adapts without disruption. It persists through change. The sheer number of stars reflects the scale of the universe. Creation operates comfortably at large numbers. Repetition does not exhaust possibility. Stars are not rare because the universe does not limit formation unnecessarily. It allows processes to repeat. It sustains cycles. This commonness softens the idea of beginnings. Birth feels continuous rather than singular. Creation becomes familiar. As stars form across galaxies, they blend into larger systems. Their light combines. Their influence overlaps. This blending reinforces stability. Structure grows through accumulation. Balance persists. Understanding star birth as common changes perspective. Formation feels less dramatic. It feels more natural. The universe does not reserve star formation for special moments. It treats it as an ongoing condition. Creation unfolds steadily. Across the cosmos, stars continue to form in vast numbers, quietly, patiently. Their abundance shapes the universe's character. It reflects endurance. It reflects continuity. And within this wide pattern of repetition, star birth remains a normal outcome of space, time, and material working together, producing light, not as a rare event, but as a steady expression of balance across the universe. Star formation unfolds without dependence on attention. It does not wait for recognition. It does not change pace when observed. Its progression remains steady regardless of awareness. Across the universe, stars form as part of ongoing conditions. Gas drifts, dust follows, gravity continues its quiet influence. These processes operate continuously. They do not pause for measurement. They do not require acknowledgement. Within dense clouds, gathering proceeds through repetition. Material moves along established paths. Balance adjusts over time. This activity remains present, whether anyone notices it or not. It belongs to the environment itself. It arises from conditions rather than intention. Observation plays a different role. When light eventually reaches distant regions, it carries information. It travels outward long after formation has progressed. It arrives as a record rather than a signal. The star existed before its light was seen. Its structure developed without response to discovery. Its balance formed through internal alignment. Across galaxies, countless regions remain unseen. Formation continues within them. Change unfolds quietly. Distance alone ensures this. Light takes time to travel. Awareness arrives later. Even within closer regions, much of the process remains hidden. Dense clouds absorb energy. Visibility develops gradually. Formation proceeds regardless. This independence reflects a broader principle. The universe operates through conditions rather than audiences. Processes continue through balance rather than response. Stars do not require confirmation to exist. Their stability arises internally. Their endurance depends on equilibrium. Within forming regions, material continues to move. Energy circulates. Time stretches. These activities maintain their rhythm without interruption. They persist through long spans. They remain consistent. Awareness does not guide formation. It follows afterward. It interprets what already occurred. This separation allows formation to remain calm. There is no pressure to announce progress, no incentive to accelerate. The universe retains its pace. Stars emerge within environments shaped by history. Material carries memory forward. Processes repeat naturally. This continuity allows formation to feel seamless. Each stage flows into the next. Transitions remain smooth. Observation adds context without influence. It frames understanding. It does not alter motion. Light reaching distant observers represents a delayed view. It reflects conditions from long ago. It arrives gently. The star continues its life regardless of this arrival. Fusion remains steady. Balance holds. This independence extends across the cosmos. Every forming star follows the same principle. Existence proceeds without request. The absence of dependency allows formation to remain distributed. Processes unfold everywhere conditions allow. Creation remains widespread. No central point directs attention. No signal gathers observers. Formation continues through quiet persistence. This quality shapes the universe's character. It allows complexity to emerge without performance. It supports stability through autonomy. Understanding this helps the process feel calmer. Change does not require oversight. Progress does not rely on urgency. Stars form because conditions support formation. They shine because balance allows light to escape. They endure because forces align. Observation remains optional. Awareness arrives later. Formation remains unaffected. Across vast distances, regions continue their quiet work. Material gathers. Energy circulates. Time provides space for these processes. Patience allows alignment. Balance sustains structure. Nothing waits to be seen. Nothing pauses for recognition. Everything continues through continuity. This quiet independence allows the universe to remain steady. Creation unfolds without interruption. Structure persists without display. As stars continue forming across space, their existence reflects a simple truth. Processes proceed through conditions. outcomes arise through balance. And within this calm autonomy, star formation carries on across the universe, guided by time and material rather than attention, unfolding steadily, persistently, and quietly, whether observed or not, continuing its work as part of the universe's enduring rhythm. Now the pace settles again. The ideas we've moved through do not need to advance further. They can remain where they are. Nothing new needs to be added. Stars form slowly. They always have. They still do. Material drifts. Gravity responds. Time stretches wide enough to hold it all. These patterns repeat throughout the universe. Not once. Not briefly. Again and again. Gas spreads across space. Dust follows familiar paths. Small differences accumulate quietly. Nothing rushes toward completion. Nothing competes for attention. Processes unfold at their own pace. This slowness remains consistent across every stage. From the earliest drifting clouds, through gathering, compression, and balance. Even light arrives gradually. It takes time to travel. It carries patience with it. The universe favors continuation over arrival, movement over moments, endurance over intensity. Stars do not appear suddenly. They become. They settle. And once they settle, they remain. These ideas do not need to be held tightly. They can repeat softly. They can blur at the edges. Star formation continues. It always has. It does not pause. Some regions remain still. Others gather quietly. Many exist somewhere in between. Nothing changes abruptly. Everything adjusts gradually. Balance remains the guide. The universe does not compress its processes into short spans. It spreads them out. It allows time to carry weight. Millions of years pass without urgency. Then millions more. Change continues gently. Stars do not need to be watched to form. They do not need to be named. They proceed through conditions alone. This quiet autonomy allows everything to move calmly. No signal interrupts the flow. No moment demands response. Light travels outward slowly. It reaches distant places long after leaving its source. It arrives calmly. The star remains steady while this happens. Its balance holds. Its energy continues. These rhythms repeat across space, across galaxies, across time. Nothing about them asks for focus. Nothing requires interpretation. They exist comfortably on their own. As these ideas return and overlap, they soften. They settle into familiarity. They become background rather than structure. Starbirth becomes less of a concept and more of a condition. Something that simply happens. Something that continues. This return to slowness mirrors the process itself. Understanding drifts rather than advances. Thoughts loosen. There is no need to move forward now. No need to trace steps. No need to hold sequence. The universe continues at its own pace. Stars continue forming. Light continues traveling. Everything remains underway. And in this steady continuation, attention can soften further, allowing the mind to rest alongside these long processes. As repetition replaces detail and slowness becomes the only remaining motion. Creation moves at a pace that remains untroubled by outcomes. Stars form through continuation rather than haste. Their progress depends on time being available. Their development relies on patience holding steady. Across space, material responds without pressure. Gas drifts along wide paths. Dust follows gently. Gravity participates quietly. Its influence deepens through duration. Its presence remains constant. Nothing accelerates this process. Nothing urges it forward. Change unfolds through accumulation. The universe carries no schedule for formation. It allows conditions to mature gradually. It supports balance over speed. Stars take shape because time remains open. They gather because material persists together. They stabilize because forces align naturally. This absence of urgency shapes every stage. From drifting clouds, through gathering and compression. Even when energy begins to flow outward, pace remains measured. Light increases steadily. Brightness settles into balance. The universe does not rush toward visibility. It permits processes to remain unseen for long spans. It allows readiness to arrive slowly. Time extends generously around these events. Millions of years pass comfortably, then millions more. Within this span, motion repeats. Patterns reinforce themselves. Stability grows. Urgency has no role here. There is no pressure to complete. There is no requirement to arrive. Stars do not hurry toward brightness. They form because conditions remain supportive. They shine because balance allows it. This steady pacing reflects a broader rhythm. Change arises through continuity. Progress emerges through endurance. The universe favors alignment over momentum. It supports cooperation between forces. It maintains equilibrium patiently. Across galaxies, star formation continues at varied rates. Some regions develop quickly by cosmic standards. Others proceed more slowly, yet none experience urgency. Each responds to local conditions. Each unfolds through its own rhythm. This absence of haste allows complexity to settle. Structures form without strain. Balance deepens. Light itself reflects this patience. It travels across vast distances. It arrives long after its origin. Stars continue shining while light journeys outward. Energy production remains steady. Structure remains intact. Nothing about this process depends on immediate result. Formation does not seek recognition. Completion does not demand announcement. The universe accommodates change without hurry. It allows cycles to repeat. It supports renewal through time. Stars contribute to this calm persistence. Their formation mirrors the universe's pace. Their stability reflects its rhythm. This understanding eases the sense of progression. There is no race to follow. There is no destination to reach. Processes remain underway regardless of awareness. Creation continues through conditions alone. Time remains the guiding element. As stars form, they do so in harmony with their environment. They adjust gradually. They settle into balance. This calm unfolding supports longevity. It allows stars to endure for immense spans. It sustains structure gently. The absence of urgency shapes how creation feels. It removes pressure. It replaces momentum with steadiness. Across space, the same pattern repeats. Material drifts. Gravity responds. Time stretches wide enough to hold everything. Change proceeds calmly. Balance persists. This rhythm carries creation forward without demand. It allows processes to breathe. It supports continuity. As this idea settles, pace softens further. Thought slow, attention loosens. The universe continues at its own speed. Stars continue forming. Light continues traveling. Nothing presses forward. Everything remains comfortable within time. And within this unhurried unfolding, creation carries on steadily, guided by patience rather than urgency, allowing balance to remain intact as processes continue quietly across space and time. Every star that becomes visible carries a long history within its light. Before brightness reaches open space, it forms gradually inside dense layers. Energy moves outward step by step. Time shapes every part of the journey. Light begins deep within a star's core. It emerges from steady processes. It reflects balance rather than intensity. From the center, energy travels through surrounding material. It passes from particle to particle. Each interaction slows its progress. This movement takes patience. Inside a star, light does not move freely. It exchanges energy repeatedly. Direction changes often. Each exchange carries time with it. Small intervals accumulate. Progress unfolds gently. By the time light reaches the surface, long spans have passed. Years blend into centuries. Centuries extend further. This delay remains part of the star structure. Energy release matches internal balance. Brightness reflects stability. Once light leaves the star, another journey begins. Space opens wide around it. Distance stretches outward. Time continues its role. Light travels steadily across space. It does not hurry. It moves at its own constant pace. Between stars, this journey spans vast distances. Years pass, then many more. Out from distant regions, light may take thousands of years to arrive. From farther galaxies, millions. From deeper reaches, longer still. When light reaches an observer, it carries this history quietly. It arrives already shaped by time. It brings patience with it. Every point of light in the sky reflects this process. Each glow represents a long passage. Each carries a record of endurance. Stars shine steadily while their light travels outward. Energy continues to flow. Balance remains intact. The star remains present long before its light is seen. It exists independently. Visibility arrives later. This separation between formation and observation softens the idea of immediacy. Events unfold without haste. Recognition follows afterward. Light itself becomes a measure of patience. It embodies duration. It carries continuity. Across the universe, countless stars send light outward at once. Each beam follows its own path. Each moves calmly through space. These journeys overlap. They cross silently. They continue without interruption. Light fills space gradually. It accumulates through number rather than force. Brightness builds through presence. This slow spread shapes how the universe appears. Galaxies glow softly. Patterns emerge through accumulation. Understanding this adds calm to the view. Nothing appears suddenly. Everything arrives through time. Light that reaches the night sky reflects long preparation. Formation occurred patiently. Travel followed steadily. This continuity removes sharp edges from the idea of creation. Beginnings feel extended. Outcomes feel settled. Stars continue shining as their light moves outward. They maintain balance. They persist. The universe remains filled with light that took its time. Every glow carries duration. Every shine reflects patience. This quality remains consistent everywhere, across distances, across scales. Light does not announce urgency. It offers presence. It reflects steadiness. As light travels, it does not lose connection to its source. It carries the conditions of its origin. It preserves balance. This connection allows understanding to soften. Events unfold without pressure. Awareness follows gently. The night sky becomes a collection of long journeys. Each point of light marks endurance. Each glow represents time carried forward. Nothing about this process asks for speed. Nothing demands arrival. Everything proceeds through continuation. Light moves calmly through space. Stars shine steadily behind it. Time supports both. As this idea settles, brightness feels quieter. Illumination becomes gentle. Presence remains steady. Every visible star offers the same reminder. Patience shaped it. Time delivered it. And within this slow exchange between formation and visibility, light continues its calm travel across space, carrying the universe's long rhythm forward, arriving gently, steadily, and always on its own time. Everything continues. Space remains open. Time remains wide. Motion carries on without interruption. Stars continue forming in distant regions. Others remain steady in their balance. Light keeps traveling outward. Nothing concludes here. Nothing resolves itself into a final shape. The universe does not pause. Processes remain underway. Gas drifts. Gravity responds. Energy circulates within stars. Brightness moves across space. Patterns repeat gently. This continuation does not require attention. It does not ask for interpretation. It remains present on its own. The ideas you've moved through can soften now. They do not need to hold together tightly. They can drift. Formation remains ongoing. Balance remains steady. Time carries everything forward. There is room to let details fade. Room to let sequence dissolve. Room to rest alongside these long motions. Stars will keep forming whether or not they are followed. Light will keep traveling whether or not it is seen. The universe continues through its own rhythm. Nothing presses toward an ending. Everything remains open. Everything remains in motion. This is how things persist. Through quiet repetition. Through patience held across time. As attention loosens, the process remains. It does not depend on focus. It does not require completion. Space stays wide. Stars stay steady. Light moves on. There is nothing further to arrive at. No point to reach. No conclusion waiting. The universe continues as it always has. Slowly, evenly. And within this ongoing motion, Everything carries forward gently, allowing thought to settle, awareness to soften, and rest to arrive naturally. As the quiet rhythms of space continue on, unhurried, uninterrupted, and present beyond the moment.